There was a time in Warframe's history when beam weapons absolutely dominated the meta. There was simply no question. You had to have a beam weapon in your primary and your secondary slot if you wanted to be on top of your game. And even among those powerful beam weapons, there were two that stood out. One of them was the Ignis Wraith. Now that was a long time ago, so the question becomes, is the Ignis Wraith still an amazing weapon? Can it still hold its own in 2023 or not? And today, my friends, we're going to be answering that question together. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, affordable, something that a more newer Tenno can sink his teeth into. But fear not, my friends, we also got the endgame setup, prime mods, galvanized mods. We're going to be taking this one to Steel Path, User Riven, all of that good stuff. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a more new player friendly approach. That's because I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So in case you're a vet and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Ignis Wraith. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of our regular free shots. The Ignis Wraith is one of the most iconic weapons in the game. It's a true blue flamethrower, my friends, with a massive range, a staggering default range of 27 meters plus 3. Now, why exactly am I not saying 30 meters from the start? Well, the first 27 meters, you get yourself infinite body punch through. So the flamethrower goes through everything. The actual beam, since this one acts like a beam weapon, goes through everything that you point at except walls. If you want to go for walls, you're gonna have to build yourself some nice punch through. Now, the last 3 meters is a sphere with a range of 3 meters. Yes, with an area of 3 meters, that's what you're seeing at the end of the beam. So do bear that one in mind. 30 meters worth of range, and that's before we put on Sinister Reach. That's right, my friends, if you put on Sinister Reach in the Excellent slot, mind you, you go to 42 meters on this puppy, which is absolutely insane. Now, my friends, if you're familiar with the Ignis Wraith, you might know that in recent times, this one has received a indirect nerf in terms of ammo, and its headshot multiplier has been removed. Boo! Horrible, terrible, and all whatnot. But this one, when it comes to damage, has a bit of an inconsistency, and I want to showcase that one next. We're gonna destroy all the targets, kill all the targets, and we're gonna spawn in level 12s just so you can see the damage a bit better on the corrupted heavy goons. We're gonna go for body shots, as you should, and then we're gonna go for headshots, and you will see something cocky, yes, so go. What's the max damage right there, guys? 58 on a heat proc and 58 on direct damage. Yes, fantastic. Now I think I need more than 2 targets, but let's see. I'm gonna lower the boom on that headshot, 90. Saw that. The weird part is 70, 58, 70 on white, and 58 on yellow was on the last 2 targets, except the initial 90 yellow. Now, for the sake of consistency, let's repeat this test, but here's the thing, this test is anything but consistent. I even tried out a couple of weapons that also had their headshot multiplier removed, and I can't explain that they don't act like this one. For example, the Arcoplasmor, 132 on a headshot. Why? Why did that happen? Again, 120, 237 on a heat proc there, 349 on a heat proc in that case. And I went through all the possible scenarios, I inputted all the data in my spreadsheets. This just simply doesn't make sense. And no, it's not the heat proc stacking and all whatnot. You should not get higher numbers than a 58 on this specific test. Yet you do, even 300 plus, and that's a little bit on the weird side. Now, honestly, that doesn't really have any bearing on the guide. I just thought it's a small inconsistency that I would like to point out. But yes, the headshot multiplier is by all intents and purposes gone. And if you are wondering, why is this so important? Why do I care? Well, you should care, because the headshot multiplier is a huge chunk of damage increase. If you don't know what I'm talking about or how it works, link the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on critical chance and critical damage, because you gotta go through that to actually understand why the headshot multiplier, the location-based multiplier, and the bonus headshot crit is an actual big deal. I sidetracked, didn't I? So getting a bit more back on topic, mod capacity for the Ignis Wraith is gonna be 60 out of 60. Glorious! Now if yours comes with a measly 30 out of 30, do yourself a favor, jump into actions, plug in that Auto King Catalyst, double that mod capacity. Is it worth it? Let me put it to you like this. The Ignis Wraith is not what it once was. It used to dominate the game with the Amprax side by side. Those times are long gone, but this is still one of the best weapons in the game in terms of AoE clear, especially for average everyday content. Definitely max out this one. It's 100% worth. Now my weapon has 9 forma, and why it has 9 forma is not important for the weapon build I'm recommending you can go for 2 to 3 forma and you should be able to get away with that. In the arcane slot, which you should unlock, there's something to be said about primary merciless. This is probably going to be best in slot on most cases if you go for the classic 100 munitions approach. 30% damage for 4 seconds, stacks up 12 times, 30% the reload speed, but there should also be something said about dexterity that should be used if you're going to be using it in tandem with your melee, or perhaps use your primary just to prime your targets, then you smash them with your melee. Definitely go for dexterity. Deadhead should be used, not really anymore. If you have your headshot multiplier removed, not really. Even for a corrosive setup, I would still not be using this one anymore. Fractalized reset. Now this one, on ability cast, 240% reload speed for 5 seconds. The thing is, you don't have a huge ammunition reserve on the Ignis Wraith like you used to. This is not really an option from my point of view, but there should be a discussion regarding primary frostbite. This is flat out better than primary merciless. The problem with this one, how do I get it to proc? Because it's on a cold status effect. You get yourself 3% critical damage and 2.25 multi-shots for 12 seconds. This one stacks up 40 times. It's absolutely bloody insane, fully stacked up. So of course what you can do is use primary frostbite and use your secondary weapon or your melee weapon to simply stack up those cold procs. Yes, for example, the what's it called? Korra's weapon, Hystrix Prime, or the Hystrix, you can use that with the Ice Quill. It's an option you can go for. Of course, this would be in the whole Warframe buffs or outside buffs for the weapon. For now, we're gonna see how the weapon stands on its own 2 feet. And for that, as stated before, primary merciless, the way to go. In the Excellent slot, honestly, there's a clear best in slot on this one, and it's gonna be Sinister Reach. But hold on there, Baba Boy, didn't you say it has ammo issues? Well, not exactly. I said its ammunition reserve has been absolutely nuked. So in case you have ammo issues, do consider Vigilante supplies. You don't really need 42 meters worth of range now, do you? Except if you build punch through and then you want to shoot through walls. And while that may not be effective, it's something a whole lot more important than effective. It's fun. Subjectively fun. So do bear that one in mind. Accuracy is fantastic. We don't care. It's a flamethrower. Ammo capacity, 200. Damn, that's bad. Ammo pickup, also bad. 40. Fire rate of 8, which is not great. Magazine of 200. Noise alarming. Flamethrower, 1.7 second reload, which for a 200 magazine is just fine. The ammo reserve and the pickup is the actual issue here. Riven Dispo of Nada, 1 out of 5. Rivens are weak for this one because this is still a popular weapon even after the barrage of nerfs it received from 2018 all the way to 2022, 2023. Well, we're almost in 2023, so there you go. It's still one hot weapon. Get it? Like, because it deals heat. I'm sorry. So it deals heat damage by default 35, which is not bad considering it's a beam weapon. That means per ammo, you're going to be getting 2 damage ticks. And more important than the damage, that's 2 sources of potentially applying a status proc to your anime. Critical chance 70% doable. Critical multi more than average at 2.5x. And the status chance is very good, especially considering what I just said at 29%. Now, my friends, let's have a look at a standard build, shall we? I always have so much fun when presenting the Ignis Wraith. I have so many fond memories regarding this one. Damage, which is flat. Serration, multi-shot with split chamber and vigilante armaments. This one, slot, you can plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with, and I will showcase a couple of options. Critical chance and critical damage reduce of point strike. What? You're not using the thing with the 200 and the minus? Yes, hold on, hold your horses. For now, point strike with vital sense, and we also got vital acceleration because if there's an easy way to amp up the damage per second of this weapon, simply slap on more fire rate. And the minus 15% damage, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. It simply takes away 15% from your heavy calibre, which we're not using right now, or your serration. 260-60 mods forming corrosive, and you got corrosive heat on this puppy. Malignant force easily obtainable from corrupted Vor in the void, and high voltage really painfully obtained from the mission Elgar on the planet Eris. Find all the free secret caches, then upon extraction 5% chance at this puppy and the shotgun version, which honestly you're gonna need both of them, but instead of farming the Nilgar, what I would do is wait for Battle to bring the 60-60 electricity mods and simply snag it from him. So do bear that one in mind. Sinister Reach, because I don't know, it's fun, and we're gonna be testing out the weapon like so. I'm gonna make sure that there is nothing to skew my test results, no corrosive projection, no Warframe buffs, no companion buffs. That would make the weapon seem a whole lot more powerful than it actually is. We're gonna add Warframe buffs just a tad later. As for the level of the enemies, 120 is the usual benchmark. We're gonna go for the corrupted heavy goons and the GOG stat. You guys like the GOG stat because they have more armor, more mitigation, and all whatnot. Look, it's a flamethrower, it goes through everything, there's no vital procs, no slash going on, and you're still able, simply using raw force and standard, everyday, corrosive and heat procs to absolutely mow down your targets. Now granted, my friends, this being a flat damage build is not gonna scale very well into the thousands, but this is an introductory level build. I doubt you're gonna use this against level 7000 enemies. Not that you should, definitely not. But for everything in Warframe, but honestly, this is more than plenty. And you barbecue your targets as you so rightfully deserve. Honestly, for a standard build, this is definitely something worth considering. Even a little bit more fire rate might be something you want to look into. Now, of course, this is a corrosive setup. What I want to showcase next is the standard Hunter Munitions viral approach. We got critical delay instead of point strike because at this point I care more about getting that critical chance than about my fire rate. We got Hunter Munitions that will give us the slashes, and of course we also swapped in Rhyme rounds instead of the Electricity 60/60 mod so we can get some vital procs on our targets. We're looking at vital heat and slashes from Hunter Munitions. Honestly, it's a match made in heaven. Though I gotta be honest with you, hey D, we've been doing this for like years. Can we get something new? How about you rework the damage again? Just for the sake of reworking the damage, because you know, bored. We're gonna go for body shot, headshots, whatever you want, and of course you can absolutely mow down your targets. You can stop and wait the slashes kill the targets, like so, or you can even keep on shooting until the targets die. The option is yours. Now a build which is based on slash and vital, like a look at the procs, yes, you got more than enough everything, you got more heat procs than slash, sadly. Now heat is fantastic, but it doesn't do as much damage as slash. What was I saying? Oh yes, a build like this will scale better. It's as simple as that. So if you're looking to go into higher levels than, I don't know, past level 150, something of the sort, do consider Vital Slash. The same old Vital Slash. Of course, there's also something to be said about using another weapon to prop your targets with Vital and use your primary with Corrosive and Heat. That's also an option. Just make sure you have Slash on it as well, because Slash is gonna be doing most of the work. Now when you're looking at normal level content, and when I say normal level content, what I mean is level up until level 120, 150, something of the sort. Use flat damage, a lot of it, so you get front loaded damage, faster clear time, therefore better results. When you're looking at super high levels in the thousands, do try to scale your damage as best you can, Vital Slash, and try to leverage as many multipliers as you can. Now this concludes the introductory level part of the guide. We're gonna move on into a quote-unquote maxed out setup, and I want to answer a couple of questions. Does Galvanized Aptitude work? Yes. As your beam goes through targets, you will be receiving the damage benefit from Galvanized Aptitude, and for this reason and the fact that we're gonna be using Primary Merciless, you don't really need flat damage from Serration anymore. Are Riven mods worth it for the Ignis Wraith? And I gotta say no, definitely not. I had this one laying around, it's giving me some critical chance, some damage, minus ammo max. I don't really need a flat damage anymore in the case of this particular build, but what I can do is swap out Primary Merciless when I want to enter some Warframe buffs and go for Primary Frostbite. Remember what I said? This one technically is the most powerful. Where was I? Yes, you remember when we used to say, hey bro, minus ammo maximum is a harmless negative. Not anymore. Not anymore, that's not a harmless negative anymore. So do bear that one in mind. Galvanized Chamber, and of course the build is pretty much the same. What I suffer with this build is the lack of fire rate, so do bear that one in mind. We're gonna respawn the exact same targets as before, the GOG stat and the Corrupted Heavy Goons 120, so you can see the difference in performance. This is still just a weapon with no outside buffs. This being a galvanized setup, you're gonna have to get a couple of kills in order for the weapon to be in full swing, especially considering that right now you don't have flat damage without proccing something. No flat damage, and the weapon looks hella weak. But as soon as you get a couple, just a couple of stacks, then you're gonna be able to go through targets like a hot knife through butter. Considering this is a beam weapon, considering the amount of procs and how fast you put them into your targets, that is definitely something to behold. Take a look at that. A little bit of flame, then watch the slashes absolutely annihilate whatever stood before it. My friends, this is the way to go when it comes to the Ignis Wraith. Is it the only way to go? Is this the gospel? And you should only do what I say when I say it, how I say? God, no. These are just guidelines, so do bear that one in mind. Now, my friends, if you're talking about Warframe buffs, there's a lot of synergies you can employ. And shooting standing still targets is about as challenging as shooting barrel in a fish. So for those reasons, we're gonna take this one to steel path. If I'm going to steel path, then I'm gonna be using all the assets that I have at my disposal. Or better said, some of the assets. So I'm gonna go with primary frostbite, and I'm gonna be using the Hystrix Prime to get myself some cold procs. It's not the idealist necessarily weapon for that. You can use a beam weapon that can get you procs faster. That's also fine. And what else I'm going to be doing is dropping viral, since I'm going to be using the Panzer Vulpaphyla. And if I'm not going to be using viral, then of course I'm going to be using corrosive in this case, like so. So I got corrosive viral on my weapon, viral from the Vulpaphyla, frostbite, and I'm going to get my procs on using the Hystrix. And good old Daddy Revenant. Let's head on over to the path of steel. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now let's see what the Ignis Wraith can do against level 100 and, I don't know, 30, 40-ish corrupted enemies in steel path. And as you can see, I already stacked a little bit of my you got the ice quill? Yes, thankfully the ice quill remains selected, so I do get a couple of stacks. I just switch from one weapon to the other, get yourself some procs, and you can keep up the buff. Honestly, this is more hassle than I'm usually used to, but you know what, for the sake of showcasing the weapon, why the hell not? And as you can see, I burned through that corrupted heavy goon that was just standing here without any issue whatsoever. And you can too, since the weapon is more than plenty powerful. What else can I tell you about Steel Path? You shouldn't really have much of an issue getting through whatever the game has to throw at you. Again, if you're looking at levels in the thousands, the situations will be changing, but in that case, have a look at this weapon. Link the cards right now. What else is there to say? Not much. I love this weapon, and I have loved it ever since I started playing Warframe. I received my first Ignis Wraith blueprint for free from a very nice steno. Now you see, back then, Ignis Wraith blueprints could only be obtained from the dojo of the clans that participated in this old event, yes? And that old event gave them access to blueprints for the Ignis Wraith. And some tenno used to sell them for a whole lot of plat, some tenno still do. Trust me, it's not that hard to get yourself a Ignis Wraith blueprint, and you should definitely get one, because as you can see, it can burn through targets like a hot knife through butter. Now, if you want to take it a step further, then I would suggest even more heavy-duty Warframe buffs and synergies. So let's have a look at that next. But first, let's burn these guys, because honestly, when it comes to the Ignis Wraith, what it shines the most is when you have a full corridor, such as this one, and you simply fire through it. That was an Eximus unit, I believe, that like flied away like that. Keep in mind that you cannot apply crowd control to these targets until you remove that nasty overguard. It's still a questionable decision in Warframe, but at least it makes things a bit more difficult. We're gonna be switching back to Merciless because there will be no time to stack the other one, and we're gonna equip Lady Mirage Prime, the outstanding Warframe weapon buffer frame. And not only. This is an absolutely hella powerful Warframe when it comes to weapon buffs, but of course she definitely has her limitations as well, because survivability has never really been her strongest suit. Corrosive projection against heavily armored targets is a no-brainer, but please don't feel forced into this one if your build calls for whatever aura you want. Physique, growing power, brief respite. This has become a whole lot more popular in recent times. Simply go for the aura of your choosing. I don't want you to feel forced into corrosive projection. Now when it comes to arcanes, these are a lot more impactful. We're going to be going for a little bit of fire rate, and when we're talking fire rate and primary weapons, we got to talk arcane acceleration. Absolutely outstanding arcane that you can get from the second Eidolon down on Cetus, and a bit more crit with Arcane Avenger, farmable from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. Now if Eidolon hunting is simply too tedious and boring, I definitely get that. Simply go to the trade chat and buy these, because you can do so. As before, Panzer Vulpaphyla for the vital proc, since on our weapon we have corrosive. We're gonna bump up the level as high as I can. I still don't see why the developer doesn't allow us to spawn levels in the thousands, but hey, there you go. Perhaps in 2023. Activate 10 power for Mirage and her free... Did I not unpause? I did not unpause. And her free ability for an absolutely massive Eclipse buff, and then we're gonna do it one more time for her ever so lovely, beautiful clones. And unpause the target so they can hit me, and I can get my absolutely glorious buffs. Now of course they're gonna start fighting each other, because why not, but I did get my proc from Arcane Avenger, and now the weapon is fully capable of the best magic trick in Warframe. And now you see them, now you don't. My friends, with heavy duty Warframe buffs, this one turns into an absolute glorious monster. I mean, the range is sick, the damage is sick, the procs are sick, and if you don't take into account the ammo, the ammunition can also be sick. It's quite the sick weapon, if you get what I mean. Honestly, I'm still recommending this one for just about anyone playing Warframe. It may not be as... I don't want to say good, because good can be defined in a number of different ways when it comes to weapons in Warframe. It may not be as powerful as it once was, but this is still a weapon that everybody should own and use, because look what it's capable of in such easy fashion. There's no strain here. You don't even need to aim for headshots anymore. You simply point the weapon in their general direction, press, and they melt. Can you ask for more than this? And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. And you can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. I would love to read your opinions in the comment section down below. Or if you want to suggest a particular weapon review, like, hey Leyzar, I would like to see this weapon review, the other weapon review, and so on and so forth. And if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. There'll be a link in the upper portion of the screen right now. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.